feel like at this point we're like a really well-oiled machine, like a tired machine, but like a machine that works.
Tired from everything else except our own machine.
We're a fridge from the 1950s.
Unkillable.
We'll protect you, Indiana
Sometimes-
Jones.
I was just gonna say.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Friends Per Second podcast on this Zelda Tears of the Kingdom release weekend. We're all very excited. Obviously, the game is out right now. We are filming, for your reference, on the Wednesday before. So I think out of the four of us, Ralph, you're the only one who's actually been playing. So we have a lot of questions for you.
Certainly have.
So quickly go around the room. I'm Lucy. Joining us, obviously, is Ralph, aka Skill Up, Jake Baldino,
Hi, hello.
and Gerard, aka The Completionist.
Hi.
Hi.
Good
I'm
to see you
pointing
guys.
up because that's how you all appear on my screen. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yes. It's perfect.
Yeah, it's good to see you
It's
all.
nice
Miss
to
you.
be nice to be back. I hope everyone's been well.
Yeah.
I've been alive,
Okay.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been it's games.
It's
You know,
is.
It's
certainly
games.
is.
Gaming.
It's busy season, and it's
Oh
like
yeah.
it's always really fun because there are always, it's great to be playing so many great games. Sometimes some not so great games too, but there's a real wave of excitement because everyone's obviously getting ready for Summer Game Fest, but also the most anticipated game since Elden Ring, I think it's fair to say,
Yeah,
is
definitely.
finally here, and by all accounts is very good. We'll talk a little bit more about it, a lot more about it later. But did you guys watch any of the leaked stuff? Because I did not.
No, I'm
Yeah,
a good boy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did. Well, I mean, because I did because I'd already played it. Do you know what I mean? So it didn't bother
yeah.
me.
You
to
got
see that
Alana banned from Twitch, sir.
That was all me.
Yeah,
baby. That
good
was all
job,
me.
Ralph.
Oh,
That's
she was
right.
watching your preview, right?
She was watching my
and they
preview,
flagged
and
the
then
preview footage.
Nintendo struck it.
It is very weird that the news cycle in the last few weeks has been just been attributed by people I know. Like, especially with you, Ralph. You broke the JRPG thing with Final Fantasy 16.
Mhm.
Now you got Alana in trouble. Ralph, stop breaking the news, my guy.
Oh, God.
I'm a bad influence. Very bad.
Break the internet.
Also, my
Skill
buddy
up.
Jack Nicholson is back. Have you seen him in the news? Like looking great
Yeah.
sitting courtside. So good to see that king again.
What did he do courtside? What did he do?
He
He's
just
just
sat
back.
there and like ate a hot dog, but like he hasn't done it in
hung
a
out.
while. And he's like 90 now.
Jack Nicholson,
legend.
yeah, Jack Nicholson
absolute
is
legend.
like the legend of Los Angeles, where whenever there's a Lakers game, it's not a Lakers game without him. He's been missing for
Yes.
many moons, and so now he's returned.
Back.
And now the Lakers are winning. Just saying. So I don't know. I don't know if they're correlated, but just have to put it out there.
Tam was telling me about, is it a Warriors player where they realized that he was doing really well if there was like a hot girl in the front row or something, and so like if he's not doing so well, they're like, quick, we need a hot girl, quick. And so maybe for the
You're in the
Lakers,
audience, get down here.
maybe for the Lakers, it's Jack Nicholson.
There we go.
Jack Nicholson is the hot girl for the Lakers.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
Hot dog in hand, gut out, just hanging, unshaved. Love it. Just living.
He's just living life. He's just enjoying it.
The leak stuff is definitely it's very big. I mean, because obviously pretty much every major Nintendo title gets leaked at this point due to the whole sort of like piracy vulnerability, but never seen it on this scale before because the level of interest in this title is just so massive, and it's so odd to be reviewing this under embargo or whatever, while also the entire internet is just full of people's impressions and playthroughs and tips and tricks and all this sort of shit. Like the game is so out, so to speak, because of the fact that of this leak, and it's just very odd to see. But hopefully, if you've wanted to avoid the spoilers, you have been able to. We certainly won't discuss any spoilers in this podcast at all. We'll keep it very clean. My review, which went up earlier this week, is also very spoiler free. I've been very careful about that as well because there are just so many surprises in this, just so many moments, locations, just things that you really want to experience totally, totally fresh, totally unseen, unspoiled. So hopefully if you are out there, you did not get spoiled. That is my hope.
It turns out at the end you were Tingle the whole time.
What? Oh my god.
Yes, exactly right. That's thanks, Jake. I just said we weren't going to spoil it.
Well, we're gonna circle back on the Zelda discussion. Oh my god, circle back. Jesus Christ. What's happened to
happened?
me?
What?
Why am
Oh,
I saying
email talk?
No,
You're
I'm
doing
doing
corporate
corporate
lingo?
speak. Yeah, we're
Let's
gonna
take that off. Let's take that offline, Lucy.
We're
Take
gonna
that one
blue
offline.
sky this idea, and we're gonna sunset the Zelda discussion for now, and we'll circle back on it next time. But no, we are gonna be talking, obviously, about all the stuff happening with Redfall, because we haven't really talked about it as a group, except for in sad Discord messages. And of course, last week, Phil Spencer did a great interview with the folks over at Kinda Funny, so we will be diving into that. And then, Ralph, you can regale us with some spoiler-free tales from The Legend of Zelda. How's that sound?
Yes. It sounds like a pretty rad episode, can I say? If I was a user, I would stay for the whole duration of the show, just saying.
Yes.
So, yeah.
We need
Good
the
pitch.
users to stick around for the show.
We need high user retention.
Yes.
All right, who wants to start with Redfall?
Oh,
Oh boy.
I can-
Okay.
I can
yeah.
go.
Go on.
I did a preview for it a while back. Like I played a preview in like March or something. And I was like, this seems, you only play it for like an hour and a half. I was like, this seems like, okay. Like there's got to be more though. That was my thing. I was like,
Yeah.
there's got to be something here. Like something is missing. And then when I played the final game, I'm like, oh, this is the whole game. Oh no. My biggest issue is that it's kind of not very fun. I know a lot of people are rightfully concerned about the poor state and the glitches and the bugs and everything like that, but that stuff can get fixed. And ultimately for me, it's like the fun factor element is not there. And that's what I like come here for. It also was just a bummer because Arcane, big fan. But it didn't click with me with this one. It's just like, it feels like there is something missing, like from like a reward feedback level. I mean, maybe it's just like the lack of engagement with enemies, the skill tree that I didn't really find very enticing by any means, with some things that like you don't want to unlock because they significantly change things in bad ways. Like what the
Yes.
So there's a lot of things that it's like, it feels like weren't really thought out. And it kind of felt like as a player, like my time was kind of being wasted. And I never usually have this attitude, but I kind of felt like as I was playing, well, I'm like, well, like if you're not going to care, then like, why should I,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big time.
I mean, to piggyback off your point about, time being wasted and things not feeling fulfilling, I'm a huge Arcane fan. And I went to the same preview event as you, and I came out of it thinking like, oh, okay, it's them trying something new. I felt the same. I thought there's got to be something else. There has to be a reason why they started us an hour or so into the game. There's got to be a reason why we didn't see that opening. Turns out it's just because the opening's pretty boring.
There is no opening.
There isn't really an
just
opening.
suddenly appear, on a boat.
Yeah, and so when I was playing it, and the thing about playing video games is I can forgive a lot of foibles, right? There are things that even in Dishonored 2, which is one of my favorite games of all time, that I don't particularly like, but I forgive because the rest of it, the whole experience is so good. The thing with Redfall is that it had a really bad first impression, or even worse than that, it had a nothing of a first impression. There wasn't a splash. There wasn't really anything enticing to get me into it. And then all of the things that usually would be annoying that I would forgive, I just couldn't, because there wasn't enough good feedback to drown out like the negative stuff that I was experiencing. So for me, when you're implementing games as a service style things like a weapon tier system, for example, well, it's not good because you can only carry 3 guns and there's a certain enemy that can only get killed if you have a UV gun that isn't really actually good enough to carry around the whole time, but you can't create a loadout. So every time you come across one of those stupid little stone guys, you have to go in, manually swap the weapon out, and then go back in. That's frustrating. That's annoying. End of every mission, having to go back to the safe house. Annoying. I get what you're doing. You're doing the Destiny thing of wanting to come back into orbit and reevaluate and do stuff. But when you're in this open world, which is empty as fuck, it's frustrating as hell. Like, I don't want to go all the way back because I know that I'm just going to warp back to a safe house that's closer. That's probably where I am right now, because I can just resupply there, or I can resupply just by looting a bunch of stuff. Like AI is pretty dumb in Dishonored. But I love that because that is a stealth game, and I want to be the person who's outsmarting the AI. It's part of the push and pull of those games is getting one over, using my smarts to overcome them. In this, they are so stupid that I was like, this isn't even fun. This doesn't even feel fair.
Yeah.
And then, you get the story, which isn't really hitting for me at all. There are some cool things in there. The stuff with the daughter for the Hollow Man and everything.
There's some cool lore, like, in there somewhere.
There is.
But ultimately, it's just like, I mean, Ralph, you and I were talking. I wish I had the screen grab of it where I was talking to Ralph, and he was like 10 hours in. I was about 6 or 7, and I said, I'm just about to take on the Hollow Man. And Ralph goes, is that the first boss? Oh no, is that the last boss? And you said, is that the last boss? And I just went, oh mate, he's the first of at least 4. And just Ralph, no.
At that point, I was so done with the game. I was like,
defeated.
Please let that be it. No, because I was on the first map, and I didn't know that there was a second map, and I was so over the game by that point. When you told me that there were like 4 more bosses or something plus a second map, I'm like, oh my god, please no more. I can't handle this. And then eventually I just didn't end up finishing the game because, as I said in my review, I'm like, well, if a developer can't be bothered to finish their game, then why the fuck should I? Do you know what I mean? But so, yeah, I mean, look, did you play it, by the way, Gerard? Right.
No, I was pretty convinced by everyone saying not to play it. That there's just some games where everyone is just so loud that you just have to go. Yeah, sometimes my optimism just isn't gonna change my mind in that way. Because I am that guy that would go in and be like, you know what, guys, hear me out. Redfall's actually pretty fun.
Yeah.
But I think. I watched enough people play it. I watched enough people talk about it, the discourse around it. I even considered, I don't do it very often, but on my channel, I sometimes will purposely play games that are a blunder just to really see what it's like for a completionist to experience. And I don't know. I felt like I did not have enough in me to want to try to play the game to see if I can contribute to the conversation that everyone else is saying. If everyone is saying the same 8 to 12 things that are wrong with it, chances are I'm going to probably be saying the same things. And I don't know. I felt like by the time I finally got around to, really getting a chance to play it, I just was like, I think I'll just wait for Tears of the Kingdom and get ready to submit all of my free time to that very soon.
Oh man, you could have been like me and still get yelled at just because like there are like some good ideas or like rough things deep in the game that like I couldn't help but like point out and like
what though? Like what are you finding?
So I just like the idea, the whole like Salem's Lot, New England town thing. I think like there is parts of a good town in there.
Sure.
I also thought that like the vampires and the vampires created by science is cool. I think a lot of the types and concepts of vampires are cool. When it comes down to the actual encounters of them and the way it plays, no. But like stuff like that, I like there may be somewhere something. I have a question for you guys though. Because my first impression of the game was like, oh, it's great that you can play it single player, but it seems like a lot of these abilities are better with other people. Did you guys feel that or see that through playing the full game? Like, were you bored with your character's abilities, really?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
No, there's no question at all that these characters should not have been designed that way. They, if you'd have combined all character kits into one character, you would have had an actual character at that point. But what they essentially did was, take one character's worth of abilities and then divide them up into 4 people, and such that like the kits just don't work on their own at all. Like the stealth character, for example, he has a raven that can mark targets and later on can also damage them, which is very contradictory. And it also can turn invisible. And he's got like a sniper rifle that he can pull out as like his ultimate or whatever. That's his whole kit. That's all he's got. It's so boring. It's like, what is going on here? And the skill trees don't do anything to augment that either. So clearly they had envisaged that you would be playing this game co-op and leveraging all of those abilities together. but I wouldn't want my friends to play this. I usually play co-op games with some guys that I play Destiny with, and as I was playing it, I'm like, nah, man, I can't inflict this on them. Like I can't ask them to come and play this. No, I'm not going to do that. So I didn't. I haven't played a single second of it co-op because I didn't want to, basically.
I also didn't want to because that's not how I play. Like,
sure.
It's an arcane
Of
game.
course.
But it's also,
Of course.
even genuinely, like, I don't play that many games co-op. I think the last game I played some co-op was Darktide, which was really fun. But, at the end of the day, I'm an adult. And it's really difficult to schedule getting people together. I mean, maybe it would be easier if I didn't have a full-time job and stuff that I do outside of work, but like it's hard to get people together. I love arcane games. I love that feeling. And the thing is that throughout the marketing, always promised you can play this alone or you can play it with a group. And ultimately, I don't think the single-player experience really delivered an experience. It felt like a fragmented part of an experience, and that's why it was even more kind of disappointing for me. Because, I mean, even when you play a game like Borderlands, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but Borderlands is the similar vibe where it's 2 main abilities and then an alt.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
But then I feel when you get way more variety with guns. Obviously, what is it, over 1 billion
Grenades
guns?
as well.
Grenades too, and then I feel that the skill tree actually augments those abilities in meaningful ways, which, as we discussed, does not happen in Redfall. And so it's really sad to see these kind of like trends from other games get picked up and then not implemented in a way that is fun.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I want to say this in the very respectful terms, okay? Because I really do genuinely respect Arcane. I definitely respect the work that game developers do, and I have definitely try and put that out there as often as possible. At the same time, like, Redfall feels so amateurishly designed. Like, it really does just feel like a first pass effort at these ideas with no effort to actually playtest them or finesse them, refine them, whatever. And it's kind of like, if this was from a small indie studio having a first crack at a game like this, I'd be like, yeah, okay, fair enough. I see you've got some ideas. But like, this is one of the best developers. They are known for how sophisticated their games are, how polished and refined they are. It's like, how do you go from that level of quality to this, making such basic, obvious mistakes? Like, and I guess my point with all of this is certainly not I'm not targeting people. What I'm saying is clearly there was some systemic, cataclysmic event that took place during this development cycle that resulted in this. Like, clearly something went very wrong at that studio to create this situation where this game came out in this way. Because these people are very talented. They know what they're doing, obviously, right? So how is it that they arrived to the point where none of that talent was leveraged properly and these very basic mistakes happened, and then all of it just went through to an actual release? Do you know what I mean? The behind the scenes development story of this game would be so fascinating to read. I don't know if we'll ever get it, but it would be fascinating because this team worked for 5 years on this game.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, that's very puzzling. That's very, very puzzling. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's very sad.
Yeah.
I mean, Gerard, go on.
I was just going to say, as someone who has been a part of an organization that was extremely poorly run and exploded underneath my feet, and then was left to be the public-facing figure of the outcry of the creator, I have no idea what you're talking about, Ralph. Everything should have been just fine.
Sure.
That's the tea.
I think at the end of the day, it's one of those things where, and this is the stuff that people won't remember, or the stuff that people just forget or purposely ignore because it is games, is that there is a large minority of people. I say large minority in this essence of like they sound larger than they are. There is a group of people who are celebrating the failure of this game and enjoying the idea that this game is so poor on launch, and they see it as a big L for Microsoft and Xbox fanboys and a big W for Nintendo or Sony. And I just think that way of thinking is just it lacks so much humanity and compassion and empathy. We're not going to know what that story is for a while.
Sure.
But you can see there's developers from those studios who are on Twitter, and they're just like,
yeah,
hey, we're trying to pick up the pieces. We're trying to move on. And you look at their replies and their mentions, and yeah, people are just dogpiling and having fun with their dunks, and it's like, that just sucks. No one wins. No one won with this situation.
Yeah, that's it. But I think it's especially sad as well, because I think we've had like flops like Anthem or Fallout 76 and whatever, and I think a lot of those games were very cynically driven in their motivation. It's just like, it's pretty clear that they wanted to have, you know, a looter shooter in Anthem that they could monetize with battle passes and skins and live, like this, that was it. And so it was kind of like, well, we don't have a lot of empathy for that kind of thing. Fallout 76 was obviously a similar thing, right?
Yeah.
But I think with this, I mean, maybe there was earlier in its development the vision that this would be some kind of, you know, like live service cash machine for Bethesda, I don't know. But certainly towards the end of its development, it wasn't that. It was just an honest game that doesn't have any microtransactions at all. It's just trying to be a fun game to play. And I think that also makes it sadder, and, you know, it makes it harder to, because it's always like, well, you tried to make just a good, honest video game and it didn't work out. And that makes it even more of a bummer. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Well,
yeah, just a really shitty situation.
It's rough. The only thing I would say is, for like, especially with what Gerard was saying, it's go ahead, like, jump in the mud. It's fun to, like, you know, not fun, but like, I get it's tempting to just like revel in the negativity and read all the reviews and stuff. And I think that some of that is good depending on like how you engage, like actual critical reviews. And I think takes like that on bad games are important, because it helps educate you as to like what you do like about games and what you do want from your games. So, you know, not to like Ralph kiss your ass, but like good actual criticism where it is explained why it is not good or not enjoyable or what doesn't work is just so much more valuable. So continue to seek that out.
Sure.
Like, I get people are like, yeah, negativity, let's read. Read up by all means, but like there is something that can be learned, something that can be extrapolated from this.
Definitely. And I think that's something that I'm very self-conscious about when I don't know what it's like for you guys and how you approach it, but I'm very self-conscious about that when I review stuff, because, you know, I don't, because people are like, oh, you shat all over Redfall, you tore that game apart, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, that's not my intention with that. And I was very careful in that review to be like, I'm just going to show you the game. You know what I mean? And like, and, you know, obviously I have some fun with along the way. I have some jokes, of course, because like we're making a video here. Like, let's just enjoy ourselves for a few minutes. But I think the overall tone I was trying to go for was that like, this game is not good. It's sad. It's a bummer. You know what I mean? Because I definitely want to try and couch criticism in the right way. I think there is a way to thread that needle. It's tough. Yeah. I've definitely got it wrong in the past on many occasions, and I'm sure I will again in the future. But it is something that I try and keep, you know, in my view as I do stuff. I don't know. Do you guys approach it the same way?
Yes.
I mean, yeah.
Definitely.
I don't review. The one major game I did review for GameSpot was Persona 5, and I enjoyed the experience for sure, but it's definitely, you know, you are putting yourself out there as a critic, and your voice, for better or for worse, is amplified because you are delivering a verdict on a game. And I'm a person who is incredibly anxious, and I don't like negativity, really. I was genuinely, so when the Redfall embargo lifted, I tweeted out my impressions, and I was genuinely late to meet my friends because I was just sat there overthinking what I was even just going to tweet out, because I knew this game was going to get a kicking. You know, from my experience with it, from talking with you guys when we were playing it early, I knew I was going to get a kicking. But then at the same time, you kind of have to balance, and, you know, as we all do, we are people in the industry that people want to hear the opinions of, or at least, you know, people message me and go, hey, what do you think of this? And so it's also important to have criticism, especially, you know, good faith criticism. And you are, at the end of the day, contributing your thoughts towards an art form that warrants criticism, good and bad. And so it's a very delicate balance.
No, it is definitely. Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely something I think about a lot. And also you think about more about as your audience gets bigger, you know, and you know, you think about how am I using my platform? And that's something that I've definitely become way more aware of in the last, as I've sort of grown as a content creator, my audience has grown or whatever. I think that's very important to me.
And like I said, like you can't, like you said, you can't be like 100% perfect with it every time, like how you want to set out. But I know for me, I started making a conscious effort specific. I'm always like Mr. Positive, and like I always try and find the good in games, and some people like absolutely hate that. But like when it is a game that I just downright do not like completely, and can't find interesting things about it. I think one of the first ones was Anthem, where I made a conscious effort where I was like, this video, my notes will have, it will never just throw away something with the word trash. It will never just say this sucks. Like I will have reasons to explain why. And all power to people who can comment and be like, this game's trash. Like that's good. But like, I was like, I need to do more, explain more. And because like I said before, there is a benefit to understanding what works and what doesn't work for games for you.
Sure. Yeah. Pivoting back to Redfall specifically, do you guys think that Arcane should stick with this, build it out, get it humming, or do you think that they should move on?
Move on.
Yeah.
Not to say that it is beyond fixing, but I don't know if the No Man's Sky redemption story is there for this game. And I think Arcane's talents are better put to use where we know they work. And it feels weird saying that because obviously, like we said, people spent 5 years of their lives working on this game. It's come out and there was a commitment to extra characters and maybe extra content. But I don't know, sentiment, that's going to be a hell of a PR job, like spinning it when any of the new stuff comes out to make it, because are the major sites going to re-review it? Like Ralph, would you re-review it?
I mean, I have re-reviewed stuff in the past, like the Wastelander update for Fallout 76, for example. And I'm like, look, I still think this game sucks, but this is a decent update that adds some meaningful stuff to it. There's no doubt about that, right? And similarly, if Redfall was to go through a big development thing, and actually, I haven't re-reviewed No Man's Sky. I've only done that once. But like, if it was to go through a big development roadmap and arrive at the other side of it, absolutely, I'd take another swing at that. But similar to when I encountered Anthem, I was like, people are like, oh, this is really, you just need some updates, and I'm like, no. Anthem is so far gone. Flying around as Iron Man is cool, but the core of this game is like not there. It's just not, Right. And to get it to the point where it is there is going to take like 2 to 3 years. It's not going to happen because EA is not going to have the stomach for that. And sure enough, they didn't. Like they flirted with the idea, but then they moved on. No Man's Sky, it's like it had this concept that was immediately so like, yeah, absolutely, we need to, and it had some ideas and things going on. Like there was some stuff there. You could see how it might get there eventually. You know what I mean? And so full credit to the team for sticking with that as well. But with Redfall, man, I just feel like there's just nothing there. I mean, I feel like, and I know it almost seems like an exaggeration, but I just think there's nothing worth salvaging within this experience. I really don't. And that's a bummer to say, but this is like a 4 out of 10 game. Maybe Arcane could work for a while to get it to like a 7 or something, but even that would be a massive amount of work. This game, it feels like it's still in like it's. I cannot see this game needing any less than 2 to 3 years of work to get it to be something. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so I really hope that Arcane just move on from it. Phil Spencer has said that they plan to continue to work the game and build it out, and I'm like, okay, fair enough. Yeah. But I mean, I don't see that personally. I just think it's time to cut losses,
I love a comeback story. I love being wrong. I love being like, I love being like, No Man's Sky kicks ass, but with this one, it goes back to what I said at the start. I just didn't find it fun. I know fun is a very like particular thing to different people, but like, I think the game needs to find the fun. And I think that takes a lot more than just adding new side quests or fine-tuning the shooting.
I think to your point, Ralph, about No Man's Sky is that the concept was new. The concept is different.
Yeah.
Whereas the concept in the heart of Redfall is, Tam and I talked about this in Spot On last week. It's like Redfall is like the epitome of chasing a trend, and this game went into production at least 5 years ago. And you're chasing trends from 5 years ago. And so to change the game And it's part of the reason why people are so pissed at the way Suicide Squad is looking. Again, it's like trends from 5 years ago.
True.
To change it to be something palatable that doesn't feel like retreading old ground with regard to games as a service stuff, there's a ton of work needs to be done. And so
it just depends on if the director of the game, and it's not all on them, but it just depends if they see value in finishing the product that they delivered. If the team at Arcane wants to see this game the way that they want to see it, then I want to see it. If they have just been so defeated and they see the conversations and they see the talking points and they see everyone just shitting all over them and it deflates their motivation, then like don't put them through that hell. Let them decide whether or not they want to finish the game, and let the L's hit the floor and we move on. But
the L's hit the floor.
the L's
I mean,
What the fuck? That is so awesome. It's like this
L's hit the
serious
floor.
somber moment, and then you're like, let the L's hit the floor.
I was being dead serious. The fact you guys are laughing, I'll take it.
love
All right,
that.
no, I'm sorry.
What an
Your
incredible
point
phrase.
is
Your point is 100% correct. It was just that phrase that really like. I was like,
Incredible phrase.
That's the voice clip for you. But look, I think a lot of us were like, Cyberpunk's not gonna get better. Cyberpunk is DOA. It's gonna be
No.
better.
But Cyberpunk had, it had 9 out of 10s at the time. There was still, Cyberpunk was this wave. Like, it was inescapable. There was no way. And, CDPR have this track record of supporting stuff. Like, Witcher 3 was, at launch, come on. It was not the game that we remember as The Witcher 3. That came later.
Not.
And so I don't think, that audience is there for Redfall as much as it pains me to say it. Like, I was on the VGC podcast and they were saying that Arcane makes games that game journalists like, but that the regular audience doesn't buy. And I was like, fuck you. Okay.
Sure.
jeez.
So
I think my point just kind of was that I don't think any game isn't redeemable. I think anyone can come back. If we have things like No Man's Sky and Cyberpunk, obviously Anthem was just it kind of immediately it was gone, but I think there's room. I think there's room for and whether or not they rechange the entire game or if they just do their bare minimum processes, I say let them give them a shot if they want to. If they don't want to, like I said, let the L's hit the floor.
Hey, this podcast is sponsored by Raycon. If you're looking for earbuds that are really good but come in at about half the cost of other quality wireless audio brands, these got you covered right here. These little handy dandy headphones are great, and personally, I've been digging them because I don't know about you guys. Like, do you guys lose stuff constantly and just break stuff and ruin stuff?
I actually don't. It's one thing that I'm quite proud of. I feel like I hold on to things, but yes, I do.
Okay, so look, you're perfect. That's great. Good for you. But me, I lose stuff. I break stuff. I am ultra forgetful. So Raycon has been really good because the mainstream wireless audio companies, like, it's expensive stuff. But with Raycon, you got enough to have multiples, have spares, and they got all the features you need.
That's right, Jake. They've got features like noise isolation, custom ear tips, water and sweat resistance, and they have up to 8 hours of playtime. Personally, I like them because they stay in my ears. I have giant ears that are hidden by these cups, but believe me, they're very large. And people used to make fun of me at school, to be honest with you, and call me Dumbo. It's the thing. But the good news is that Raycon earbuds actually stay in my ears. They're one of the very few earbuds that actually do that, and that is one of the many reasons that I use them.
yeah.
And it's pretty straightforward. They have 2 years of product protection insurance for just a few extra bucks, free domestic shipping, flat free international shipping, and they have over 50,000 5-star reviews online. So there's a lot to go on here.
And they are super easy to set up too. Like, I was amazed. Like, I got them connected to my phone with no problem. I got them connected to my PC, no problem. Super easy.
I like that they're the little capsule small as well, because some of the other
Same.
stuff that I've used, they're like really large, but those actually
Right
fit
in the
into your
pocket.
pocket quite nicely. Yeah.
So go to buyraycon.com/friends today to get 15% off your Raycon order. That's buyraycon.com/friends to score 15% off. Buyraycon.com/friends.
So Big Phil Spencer himself was on the Kind of Funny Xcast, and whoo, what a week to do it, because the CMA said no to the Activision Blizzard deal, and Redfall launched to not a great reception. So I was genuinely amazed that he even went through with it.
Me too. I mean, if there was ever a reason for a CEO or a boss man to quit out on something, like because of the news cycle, that was the week to do it. So big props to him, but also big props to Kind of Funny, I should say, for because I think Phil obviously trusted them to be able to handle it correctly, which they did. And I think, the way that they actually asked questions and drove that conversation forward, like I think they really nailed it. So big shout out to Kind of Funny for that. I think they really crushed it.
I was there on the Wednesday, like a few hours before they were recording with Phil, and Snowbike Mike turns to me and goes, "Lucy, if you could ask Phil Spencer anything, what would it be?" And I was like, I don't know.
Good luck.
Like, why? And I think I just said something really stupid, like, a non-question. And Mike was like, "Oh yeah, we're talking to him in a couple hours." I was like, "Oh shit, okay." I could have used that context, my guy. But no, it was a really good interview. Did not shy away from the tough topics, and Phil certainly didn't really shy away in his answers. And so I guess we'll kind of go through some of the big points. I mean, first of all, it was weird to see a dejected Phil.
It was a bummer, to be honest.
Yeah.
You're
And he
not
even
supposed
said,
to
like,
as a
partway
boss,
through.
right? Like, you're supposed to just always do, like, confidence and always kind of spin it around.
Yes.
And, like, even the best, like, of these types of media trained executives can usually still wiggle it around back around to being on message, where this was pretty candid.
Well, also he even said, towards the end of the interview, I think the Kind of Funny guys were like, "Oh, on a more positive note," and he was like, "Sorry, this isn't positive, Phil. I'm gonna be grouchy. This is, kind of like outwardly said it." And so kicking things off with comments about the Activision Blizzard deal, obviously a big big thorn in the side is the CMA saying nope, not the Country Music Awards, but
Damn.
Yeah, what does this CMA stand for again?
His Majesty's Consumer Markets Authority.
Oh God, please don't remind me
His
of the
Majesty.
Oh, it's so weird.
Coronation.
It's His
Oh my God!
Majesty's.
Change the movie to On His Majesty's Secret Service. It doesn't sound the same.
Nowhere near as cool. Nowhere near.
God.
Did you enjoy the coronation, by the way, Lucy? I assume you tuned in.
I slept.
Oh, we're doing
Come
this.
on.
Yes,
We're
doing coronation
reviewing
commentary.
So I went out on Friday. Some of my friends were over from the UK. I had them meet some of my friends from the US. There is a bar here in San Francisco called Cozy Car, which plays, first of all, the floor is copies of Hustler that they've like lacquered over, right?
Cool.
The benches, like the booths, one of them's a bed. One of them is like a bunch of car seats. One of them is a hot tub that's cut in half. And then on the walls, they play horror movies. And then at random points, they intersplice it with adult movies. We went there. We got messed up. And I slept through the coronation.
Well, I'm sure you missed an old man getting a new hat.
It kind of reminds me of because I watched it because I'm a weird freak. It kind of reminded me of the beginning of Conker's Bad Fur Day, where it starts with him frowning on the throne, and it's that slow panning shot with him with the crown on his head, and it's a little crooked, and he's just sitting there like
wondering
me.
how I got here.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, and that was what he the frowny prince or king rather looked. I also don't know anything about this stuff, and I know people have strong opinions. I just like the television show The Crown. That's all I got.
Yeah, that's it.
I just enjoyed one tweet, which was calling the coronation of a 74-year-old man once a lifetime thing is crazy. Like, speak for yourself. I'm young and sexy. I'm going to outlive both him and his very bald son. I have 3 coronations in me. You all stay safe, though.
That is a great tweet.
Unbelievable tweet. I
Anyway,
genuinely like.
what were we talking about?
Phil Spencer, CMA.
Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Rough
right.
day. Conker's Bad
Rough
Fur
day
Day.
for Phil.
Consumer
That's right.
Markets Authority, consumer, right? Is it?
Yeah, Markets Authority. Yep.
So King Charles was like, I'm having none of this. Anyway, no. So
I'm
Phil
out.
remains confident that Activision Blizzard is going to go through. I think there was stuff from today, recording on Wednesday, that the EU rumors are abound that the EU is going to approve it. Yeah, I mean, it's probably going through. I can't wait for us to never talk about it again.
It's like, but will it though? Like, is again, if the British don't approve it, it doesn't go through, and it's like they have made clear that they don't want it, and
its
Microsoft
current
has worked
format.
in its current form.
state.
And Microsoft has signed multiple agreements with cloud service providers around the world, 10-year agreements. They've really gone to like meet regulators as much as they could, it seems, on the issue of cloud, and it still has not been enough for them. So I think we've all predicted for a long time now, it will go through. But I don't know. I don't know that it will. I'm not saying that it won't. I'm just saying I don't think we can really predict either way, because, it just seems like the British really have a bee in their bonnet, as they might, might say.
You say the British are being difficult? Couldn't be us.
Oh no, absolutely.
Oh no, couldn't be us.
You guys are such an affable people.
But yeah, I mean, so he commented on that at the very start, but then I think the real meat of the discussion was just that Xbox has not been performing lately. So I mean, kicking off early on again, disappointed and upset with himself that Xbox fans are losing confidence. Mentions, the 30 FPS issue with Redfall and the critical response to the game. Mentions the IGN thing, which I found very, very interesting. The way that he said that, Xbox didn't necessarily support Arcane enough, didn't get it as involved in the project early enough. But there was the comment about the fact that when IGN did their first, and they already knew internally that the game was not going to hit 60 at launch, but
on console,
but did not say that to IGN. And so
well, that's right, exactly. And so because what he was saying then was that they were showing 60 FPS PC gameplay when they knew that they were going to be shipping 30 on consoles, and they should have told people that. And it's like, okay, cool. Yes, absolutely. For sure. Absolutely. But at the same time, we still don't know whether or not Starfield's going to be 60 FPS. And like, it shouldn't be a thing that we're excited to find out. Like, whoa, I can't wait for the big Starfield reveal. Are we going to get 60? You know what I mean? It should just be a thing where they fucking say this game is going to be this. And Phil and his team would know that at this point. And it's like, you're holding us in suspense while also saying, we shouldn't have held you in suspense about that. Do you know what I mean? It just, that part I didn't like at all. I think that was not great. So,
well, there's also the, like, not to be too cynical about it, but there's also like the come around from this where that can eventually be a win for them. Like, they can go on stage and say, ladies and gentlemen, 60 FPS, and everyone's going to be like, yeah.
You did it, Todd. We love you, man.
Great jacket. But no, I think the other part of the whole conversation with Phil is that a point that he kept coming back to was the fact that Xbox have not been good at communicating their plans, or they have been communicating stuff like, last year at the Summer Game Fest showcase, they said all of these games are going to hit in the next 12 months, and a bunch of them didn't. Like, we just got the Silksong delay, and they said, we messed up on that. And, being, they acquired all of those studios a few years ago, still waiting for that stuff to hit. We're still waiting for Avowed, for Fable, for Perfect Dark, for Gears 6. And the Xbox community, and Phil was saying, they're getting frustrated, and they have every right to be, which is very, very candid of him. But I mean, the thing that I thought was very impressive was that he was like, this is on me, which was, very, very good. Man's been taking his leadership training courses,
Exactly. I mean, he could have sidestepped it a bit, but I think if he'd have done it any different, he would have looked kind of like a dick. But also, I don't really think he's acting. Like, I think a lot of people think Phil Spencer is just like a performer, and you know what I mean? Like, he just tugs at heartstrings and whatever. But like, I think Phil actually cares about video games. I don't really think like Bobby Kotick gives a shit about video games. You know what I mean? Like, I really genuinely don't. I think they're an investment vehicle for him. But I think Phil Spencer, like you see him talking about this industry, you see him out there, you see him playing games, like
You
know,
see him
like
getting
he's out
all the
there
achievements
on
in
Xbox
Vampire
Live,
Survivors.
getting achievements.
He's playing a
Do you know
little
what I
bit
mean?
too many games. It's a little suspicious.
But I mean,
what
like
is he, the completionist?
He's
Phil, you can't acquire me, Phil. I'm too expensive for you, buddy. Be a useless IP, but hey, I'll join the Xbox family if you got enough cash.
But he genuinely cares about video games, I think, and it is a bummer to see him sort of laid so low in these moments. But yeah, you're right. He did own it. He did own his part in it, and he did sort of say, look, we need to do better. I know. I thought one thing that I thought was really interesting was that they said they did mock reviews for Redfall, and apparently the title is like double digits lower than what the mock reviews
Who did they use?
were.
Yeah.
Who did they use? That's what I would like to know. Like, I've always been so interested in that process for internal mock reviews and like how that goes. That'd be so interesting.
There's a company that like Hit
I
Detection
know them.
specifically does
Hit
it, but I, like
Detection.
they are so NDA, like you will never get anything out of any of them. But I'm also like
Sure.
super interested in it because it just seems like what a job.
This black box. Yeah.
We should get one of them on the pod.
Yeah, that's it.
yeah.
Why did you score Redfall an 80 in your internal
Were you trying to
review? What's
prank
up with
them?
that?
Like-
That's right.
What version of
Oh,
Redfall
man.
did you play? Anyway.
Yeah.
One of the things that stuck with me was he did kind of mention rethinking some of the process in terms of how they interface with game studios and stuff. He didn't go as far as like he did still manage to say that like they still want to just let creative teams do their things. But like it's just kind of made me think, like I've always looked at with the more recent Microsoft, I guess the Phil Spencer era Microsoft, as being nice guy company, where it's like consumer friendly moves. You can have this on this platform. You can stream this for free. You can do this. You can do that. Hey, studios, make whatever game you want. So now I'm starting to just hear all this stuff, and it's like it feels like all the dominoes toppled at once with this. And I'm like thinking, is that just the nice guy approach not working? Does Microsoft need to get a little more mean and like wrangle things? And when he did say a little bit about like changing some of their processes, like I'm curious to see what that could actually amount to.
I mean, personally, I think it's important to I have a view on this personally, right? I think that overall, I'm a fan of where Xbox is at and what it's doing. I'm a fan of its strategy. And I think in particular, I've been a fan of its releases for the last little while. I mean, like Hi-Fi Rush, Grounded, Pentiment, obviously
AOE?
Forza.
Easy.
Say again,
On
sorry?
console? AOE? Age of Empires? On
Yeah,
console?
absolutely. Like there's a consistent track record of solid releases there. Obviously, they're not AAA bangers. They're not the system sellers, whatever else, but there's a consistent track record of quality, and I respect that, right? I think the problem with Redfall was that it was just such a cataclysmic failure of quality control and design, and clearly like so many things were not lined up correctly to assess this product properly and put it out to market, that it really kind of just shakes your overall faith. You're like, well, it all looks fine on the surface and it seems like we're okay, but if something can go this wrong, then maybe it can go this wrong again for other big hitters like Starfield, for example. And I think Halo is a different category of failure, is a strong word, but like Halo has stumbled post-release, whatever, due to its update cadence, due to a variety of factors. It's not quite the same. It's nowhere near the same as something like Redfall, right? But seeing all the good work that Xbox has put in and seeing all the successes they've had, I think the problem with Redfall, it's just a confidence shaker, because it was that level of bad that you're like, well, what's really going on? If this can happen, like, are things really as good as we think they are? Kind of to your point, Jake.
Do you guys think that this candidness really, I don't know how to phrase this question, almost like, do you think this candidness really can move the needle, or is this more just something for the hyper obsessed news gamer crowd? I just don't see him going on CNBC or something and talking like this, which I guess is maybe good that he is going down to the ground level and speaking to the actual like hardcore weirdos, but I don't know. What do you guys think?
No, I think you're right. I think ultimately, I mean, So we also had the Microsoft earnings. We saw how much Game Pass is pulling in, and yeah, there's been that dip in hardware sales, which is worrying, but in terms of actual subscription stuff, like Game Pass pulled in a bill in the last quarter. So it's like he doesn't need to be necessarily speaking to the shareholders at this point. He needs to be talking to the audience, because the audience is ultimately going to feed into what the shareholders care about, which is going to be money. And so this is the point in the life cycle of this news cycle where Phil needs to speak to the consumers, the community, the gamers, the little weirdos on the floor, as you call them. But ultimately, like, now Xbox needs to deliver. Like, we can, we're all aligned that, oh God, aligned. What is the matter with me? Why am I talking fucking corpo speak? We are all in agreement that, like,
you work for a corporate company. Of course you're going to be in the zone.
Oh God, I've started saying tagging X for Viz now. So, I'm
Is that for visibility?
Please never do that in our Discord, please.
I'm gonna.
We'll ban you from our Discord.
So this is the point where Xbox needs to start delivering, and obviously the big things in the immediate horizon for Xbox, the Summer Showcase, which is part of, or at least Summer Game Fest adjacent. Obviously no more E3 anymore, but all eyes are going to be on Xbox in the showcase, the Starfield Direct, and then come September, Starfield itself, which is going to be, Phil said, the quote was, they were talking about being third place in the Xbox One generation. We lost the worst generation to lose, the one where everyone started to build digital library of games. Now there is no world where Starfield is an 11 out of 10 and people start selling their PS5s. That's not going to happen. Very interesting kind of statement.
That was some wild shit to hear, man.
It was very wild.
I'm not a console war guy, but I was like, whoa.
Spicy.
What do you guys think he was saying there? Because I've had some interesting discussions about this. Like Gerard, for example, have you seen that? You've seen that quote?
Yeah, about how he's like, no one's like, the sentiment being like, no one's gonna buy an Xbox essentially, or they can't really come back, right? Like, considering
was that
like,
how are you hearing it? Because I've definitely seen some different interpretations around the place about that quote, and some people are like, he's throwing in the towel. Some people are like, that's not what he's saying. How are you sort of interpreting it?
I think he's just trying to be as real as possible. And this is coming from a guy who's not been the biggest Xbox guy. Xbox is and always will be on the bottom of my console preference list. And this is not, I think I got paid by Microsoft once to promote a game for Game Pass last year. That's the most of my in-bed relationship with them, right?
Right, okay.
If you will. I get the vibe that he's just going, look, we know that it's going to be a struggle to come back. We know that we're not going to be able to move the needle like everyone wants us to in this console war establishment that's been there. And the expectations is too much, especially for something like Starfield. Everyone's just going all in on Starfield all the time. They have been since the second it was announced. They have been with how little we've seen of it. Everyone is still on the Starfield train. And I think it's him just going, it doesn't matter whether or not you're going to pick up an Xbox for Starfield. It's not going to change anything. It's at least that's the way that I interpret it. And maybe I'm just completely wrong in that.
For me, I got it as very much him backing up what else Xbox has been doing, where they have been focusing on building up like the library, all the online stuff, the subscription model, all that stuff. It to me sounded like reiterating, like, we know we can't beat Sony at X or Nintendo at X, so we're going to continue to just beef up our other interesting shit, because that's what I guess technically does make them different and stand out a little bit. I don't know if that's what I got from him saying that.
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment, Jake. I think Microsoft is trying to do what Nintendo did a couple generations ago with the Wii, which is we're just going to zig when everyone wants us to zag. And I think that's the way that I see it with Game Pass. Game Pass, for whatever you feel, for better, for worse, has done a lot for indie developers and for even second and third party publishers who are struggling to get funding. the idea of Game Pass is phenomenal, but we've talked about this several times in this podcast that the games just aren't always there for us, right? No one's gonna, Game Pass for PC with Game Pass for Xbox is two different SKUs technically in the way of getting distribution in the game lists, but it's all about a value buy. And so to me, they're trying to build a economy that is its own Netflix system that doesn't require you to worry about if you have a PlayStation or a Switch. And I think that to me is what he's trying to do. Is we're not trying to focus on the third-party competitors anymore. We're just trying to do what Xbox does. And I think what Xbox does is the question mark at hand. Because I don't think they even know 100%. Game Pass is the beginning. xCloud's kind of a fun thing, but like that's why they're trying to do this Activision Blizzard thing, or the Activision Blizzard acquisition. They're trying to figure out what Xbox does.
Yeah, I think that Phil and his team like have a vision. I think it is about more than just the console. I think that's the point he was making in that video, in that interview. I do think there's been a lot of people sort of twisting his words. I've seen a lot of commentary around that to sort of say that like it's over for Xbox, and Phil's like throwing in the towel. And I don't think that's what it is.
I don't see that happening.
I think this guy has also been talking about the importance of great video games for a long time now, and people really seized on this quote where he's like, if we just focus on great games, then that's going to move the needle. And he was like, well, that's a great grab if you just focus on that. But what the broader point was that great games alone will not be enough to keep Microsoft competitive. And that's why they're doing the zig, as everyone's zagging, as Gerard said, right? They're opening up a new methods of playing and new approaches to ecosystem. So I like it. I like Phil. I hope that he rallies after this and stays in the chair, because obviously people are always like, oh, what's going to happen with Phil? I think he'll be around. I think he's delivering, and hopefully Starfield really, really crushes it. Because I think if Starfield doesn't, we're in for a long period of discourse around Xbox and whatever else. But if Starfield is really great, I think it's definitely going to make people very happy, make them feel very comfortable, and be like, okay, cool, great. I really feel vindicated by my choice to invest in this ecosystem. But in absence of that, there's going to be a lot of hand wringing, I think. So yeah.
I want to reiterate too, like I like talking about these interesting, weirder aspects of Microsoft, like their unconventional approach to all this, and what Phil is saying here. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I do fall to now I'm starting to get bored of all this talk and all this baseball, and I do just kind of want some games. Yeah, I've been waiting with bated breath for Fable. I've been wanting to see an inch of State of Decay 3. So I'm starting to just be like, okay, I just kind of want to see stuff and not hear talking and words, because I'm sold on all that stuff. Like I get that Xbox is doing it different. True. So now I just want to play some video games.
Yeah, that's very fair. Totally agree with that. For sure.
Cool.
That being said, Phil, come on the pod.
Come on, Phil.
Come on, Big Phil. We won't call you Big Phil. We promise.
Uncle Phil.
Uncle Phil. Is that
Uncle
better?
Phil.
We have a radio host. We have a radio host in Australia called Ugly Phil. We promise we won't call you Ugly Phil either, Phil. That would be nice. So are we going to say, Gerard?
I was just going to say, Phil, come on the show. We're not gonna attack you.
We're nice. Promise.
We're nice.
You guys are nice.
Yeah, Ralph goes.
Let's be clear. At least Jake, Lucy, and I will not attack you. Ralph, not
I
so
will not
much.
attack Phil Spencer. Come on.
I don't know, man. Hold on. That is a great title for that podcast. So let's not
attack.
I will not attack Phil Spencer.
I will not attack Phil Spencer.
I will not attack Phil Spencer. Bracket clickbait.
That is good. That is very nice. I like it.
We have a change in lighting over here, which means a change in topic, apparently. I know I'm not as good as Jake at segues, but I am working on it.
He's the master.
He is the master. I hope to learn. I am his Padawan. The Diablo 4 Server Slam is happening May 12th to 14th, so that's what?
It's now. It's live.
It is right now. God, putting that out and Tears of the Kingdom weekend. bold again.
It's a bold move, Cotton. A bold move.
Let's see if it plays out for him. It's basically a pre-launch test of the very first chapter of Diablo 4, and it's basically kind of beta again. Just try and break our game or try and break our servers. So, are you guys gonna delve in this weekend?
Yeah, I will actually. Because I played the beta actually before the original beta because they did like a closed whatever for content creators and media. But there was no necromancer class, and I'm all about the necromancer class, so that's available now. And I'm actually just really optimistic. Optimistic is not quite the right word. I'm hopeful for Diablo 4 because I think obviously there's lots of reasons to be skeptical about any Blizzard release these days for a variety of reasons. But I really love Diablo. Like I really do. It was one of the most important games for me growing up. I used to sit there with my best mate when I was in like year 6 or whatever, and we would just play Diablo together, and I would always control and he would just kind of watch. You know what I mean? And I'd always be like, do you want to play? And he'd be like, no, I'm happy to watch. And we would just literally sit there for hours just clicking, man. That was it. So yeah, Diablo was very important to me, and I really do love it. And I'm, just hopeful that they managed to land it. I'm also interested in the idea of like a live service Diablo. Obviously that comes with a lot of risk on the money side of things for sure. But there could also be the upside. Like if they don't take the piss with the microtransactions and they manage to deliver a good cadence of new content, then that's good. That's great. I'm okay with that. Diablo just feels like a great series fit for that kind of, game update style, update rhythm. So yeah, man, I'm keen. I'm excited. Are you guys playing this weekend or just waiting till full release or what?
So what is a server slam?
It's
Sounds like a wrestling thing.
It's basically an open beta, and they're inviting everyone to log on at the same time, and they're like, please break our servers because as you would remember, Diablo 3.
What was it? Error
37?
I was about to say Error 34. That's
Error 34, not quite loose, but if you Google that, you will find some interesting errors. So
it was error code 37.
Error 37.
So, look, any online game is going to absolutely shit the bed when it comes to day one. Like, whatever. The question is, do you shit the bed on day 4 or 5? Because if you're at that point, then there's a real problem, right? It's always going to take one of those opening days for things to wash through. But if they manage to pull off a totally silky smooth launch and everything's happy, then, fantastic. Love it.
Yep.
As a huge Diablo 2 nerd, I loved Diablo 2 as directed, by the way. You guys,
you were I knew Diablo 2.
Oh yeah,
that's cool.
Diablo 2 Resurrected has been my wind down game. I come home every day, and I am trying to get the platinum on PlayStation 5, which is really hard because you have to get level 99 on both hardcore and on regular. And I'm very close with on the regular playthrough, but hardcore I haven't even started. And I have Diablo 2 is probably the most amount of time I've spent in any one franchise, let alone game. I've probably spent.
Yeah, you have talked about this. Your hour count's like insane.
Yeah, at this point, I probably, no joke, spent like 7,000 hours of my life playing Diablo.
Holy shit.
It's
fuck.
Which is hilarious because I think I spent maybe 40 in Diablo 3 and then went back to Diablo 2. I'm very excited for Diablo 4. I think doing this server slam is a great idea to just crash everything. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, though. I have had a hard time enjoying Blizzard products just because of all the stuff that's been going on, and it just feels so weird. Like, I remember when Diablo 2 Resurrected came out, I was like, hey, any of my friends that grew up playing Diablo 2 want to play? And everyone was like, no, just because they're bummed about everything going on over there. And so I and same kind of with Overwatch, right? But at least with Overwatch and this, they're learning their lessons, I hope, because I remember Overwatch 2 came out and everyone couldn't even play the game. And so here we are now, and hopefully this server slam will allow us to get all the bugs and kinks out of the way so we can enjoy the game when it's fully released in June. So I'm going to wait until release.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm not going to play this weekend, but that's only because I'm going to my friend's house and we're going to do a Zelda pajama party where we all, like 6 of us are just going to play Zelda in the same room
That
together.
is going to be so fun because there are lots of games that are fun to watch, other people play, and or to play, like to play collaboratively with one person, controller in hand, and everyone kind of pointing and yelling suggestions. But this has got to be one of the best games ever for that, for reasons that we'll talk about. But that will be fun. You will have a great time because this game is just tailor-made for exactly what you're about to do.
I'm very
sure.
excited. Well, enough about Diablo. We're going to go to a user question. Remember, if you have any questions for us, go to, and I think I got it, contact@friendspersecond.com.
Boom! Nailed it.
You are the better
first
host.
time
Nice
ever.
job.
It's only first time in 18 months? No, 12 months we've been live with that inbox. First time someone has managed to remember it other than me. This is huge. This is massive.
I'm coming for your job. So we have a question here from Ross. Gerard, do you want to read it?
You got it. Rosk asks, in your opinions, what is the best game that never got a sequel and absolutely should have? We'll start with you, Jake, if you've got one ready to go.
Oh boy, yeah, the easy answer, the predictable answer, if you guys watch me at home, is Freedom Fighters. Freedom Fighters was a fantastic game made by IO Interactive in their prime, in between the earlier Hitman games. You are a New York City plumber where New York is suddenly raided by the Soviets in an alternate history, man in a high castle type thing. And you basically slowly become a freedom fighter, progressing from just like guy with a gun to hardcore revolutionary with long hair, waving an American flag with an AK-47. And it's like kind of little like real time, like you get units, you send them, then command them. It's a third person shooter. It's an actually really good representation of New York with music by Jesper Kidd, so it's incredible.
Oh, right, nice.
But that's my easy answer. My other answer is kind of a cheat, sticking with the whole Xbox theme. Crimson Skies. So there was like Crimson Skies for PC, and then there was High Road to Revenge for Xbox. And I wish there was another one after that because like it has lore. It's in this cool like Sky Captain World of Tomorrow-esque like alternate 1930s. And it's just a game where you fly around in a plane and shoot stuff. And we don't have a lot of those anymore.
Yeah, true.
So
Everspace.
Yeah,
I mean, well, it's a space sim though. It's like
that's
sim,
true.
but like whatever. But yeah,
and the newer Chorus or Corvus.
Yes,
I want to play that. I haven't had time
true.
to play that.
That's apparently pretty decent. I think good things. Yeah.
Yeah, it's on PS
Game Pass,
Plus,
is
I
it not?
think. Or like
Oh, I
one
thought
of
it's on
the
Game Pass. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think it's on one of it might be on one of the PlayStation tiers. It might be in the game
All right.
library.
Yeah.
PlayStation Tears of the Kingdom. Sorry.
Oh, God.
Oh man.
All right, Ralph, what's yours?
All right, so mine's a bit different. Like I would say it doesn't really fall into this category, but I would just say we're never going to get a Guardians of the Galaxy game sequel.
Yeah.
We're just not. Okay.
Oh shit.
And it's so
it.
sad, right? It is so sad that is never going to happen because that was such a fantastic game. I mean, obviously the game side of it people had mixed opinions of, but the way that was written, how perfect that was. Everyone's like, oh, James Gunn has delivered like the best sci-fi trilogy or whatever, in the last 3 decades or whatever. I'm like, okay, cool. But have you played the video game? Go and play that if you know what I mean. So I'm sad that that's just never going to be a thing. It's a very, it's a bummer. It's a big bummer. So
There's always the Telltale one. Go play that. It's okay.
I haven't played that. It's okay, is it?
I only played the first 2 episodes.
Okay.
Star-Lord looks like a cigarette. But it's okay.
I forgot that existed. Actually.
Yeah.
So did I.
Holy shit.
Telltale
made a lot of
They
bad
did.
stuff
They
back
They made a
then.
Game of Thrones game.
Yes.
Oh,
right?
that
Like,
was
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, that wasn't great.
Star-Lord does look like a cigarette.
I'm gonna Google this. Gerard, what
That's
was
my way of
yours?
describing people too. I apologize.
Sorry, I was just I'm gonna be the. I know we technically got a sequel, but I still want to go back to that universe. I would love a proper Super Mario RPG sequel. I want to know what happened with Mallow and how he's a prince, and I want to know about if Gino or Geno, for some of you out there, and his plot and Smithy, and I want to know, especially now that we are at that point in our lives where we've all accepted Bowser as like not just the bad guy anymore. He's just the fun-loving, charismatic character that happens to show up
Be
for
the
your
boss of Nintendo.
be the boss of Nintendo and sometimes be racing against you in a kart or play as your doubles partner in tennis. Who knows?
Sure.
But yeah, Mario RPG proper sequel. That's what I'd love to see.
It's a good answer.
That's a good answer. This doesn't count because they announced the sequel, but I don't believe that this game will ever come out. Beyond Good and Evil. I don't think.
Oh yeah, right.
I mean, but also, I mean, I want an actual Beyond Good and Evil sequel, not
Sure.
whatever the hell that trailer was for Beyond Good and Evil
Yeah.
2. But also, I think Enslaved was a really, really cool concept for a sci-fi world, and I really enjoyed that game. And there was DLC for it with the kind of like uncle character. Was it Pig? Because Uncle Page was Beyond Good and Evil, and there was the pig guy in Enslaved. But I really loved that world. I really loved the characters Monkey and Trip. And obviously it was like written by Alex Garland, so it was a genuinely really cool, well thought out world. I would love to see that. So I snuck in another answer, but those are my two.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to sneak in one more. Bulletstorm. Okay,
Ooh.
bye. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
Kill with skill,
Sure.
baby.
Yeah.
I want to see Lawbreakers brought back, man. I'm disappointed.
Hey,
like,
listen,
Cliffy
you
B
know-
was teasing us with that, and then it just turned out to be a nothing burger. I'm disappointed, man. Yeah, make it happen, Cliffy. Come on.
Come on,
Come on.
Cliff.
Come on.
All right. Just after the break, we will be discussing. I forgot. Legend of
Tears
Zelda.
of the Kingdom. Oh my God, you did not do
No,
that on this
so-
week of all weeks.
So I remembered. You know the Homer Simpson. Every time I learn something new, it pushes something old out
Sure.
my brain. I learned the email address. I forgot the biggest game release.
I forgot. That's right.
So we're going to be talking about Ralph's time with Tears of the Kingdom after a quick word from our sponsors. Yeah.
This podcast is. Sorry, Luce. I'm trying to do a thing here, Luce. I'm trying to shout out our good friends PayPal Honey. Okay, can I please do that, Lucy?
Yeah.
Please.
Okay, thank you. All right, this podcast is brought to you by PayPal Honey. You guys probably already know what Honey is. It's been around for a very long time now. I discovered Honey years ago, well before they approached us for a sponsorship. It is a browser extension that allows you to find discount codes instantly, right? So you know how you go on a website and you go shopping and there's a little box that says discount and you're like, oh, I really wish I had something, or I wish there was a website or something that had a big list of discount codes that were active and I could just drop that in, get some free money, boom. Honey is essentially that, but without having to go to a website to find the discount code, right? So if you have Honey installed in your browser, you literally just like click one button. Honey will automatically search for coupons. It will drop it straight into that discount box. It will apply the discount, and that's it. If there's a discount code available, obviously. But it's super simple, and it has saved me hundreds of dollars over the years. Because when I do online shopping, I just click the button, and then Honey's like, "Oh, by the way, I just saved you $50." I'm like, "Wow, thanks. I guess." What's the catch? No catch, because it's a free service as well, by the way. So I don't know. I like Honey. What do you guys think? Do you guys like Honey?
It kind of makes it like a game. Like it's a little like addicting when you go to buy something. It's almost like you try,
How much-
okay, at the end.
how much
let me
money
try
can
and
I
add
save?
bucks. Yeah. It's like, let me try and like debuff this price a little bit.
Yes,
you know?
it is. It does feel like you're like hacking when you actually manage to find. It's like a hitting the jackpot, like pulling the slot machine lever and then seeing, and you're like, yes, I saved $50. Let's go. That is the power of Honey to be able to do that for you. It's free to install, free to use. If you'd like to check it out, please visit joinhoney.com/FPS. That's joinhoney.com/FPS. There will be a link below in the description as well. And yeah, just start saving money straight away. It's honestly as simple as that.
This podcast is also brought to you by podcast favorite Athletic Greens, back with their all-in-one AG1 formula. Now, if you haven't heard, their mission is to empower you to take ownership of your health by building a simple daily routine. Just one scoop gives you over 75 vitamins and minerals that give major benefits like better skin, hair, mood support, and boosted energy. Now, a bunch of us obviously take AG1 Athletic Greens. Ralph, why do you take it?
Well, I hadn't actually heard of it before they reached out to us because I don't know, I just hadn't. But then, as I said earlier, my brother is really into the whole green smoothie thing because he's like a vegan and whatever. It's a whole thing. And I was like, green smoothie is a bit much for me, man. I don't know. But I respected the routine. It's just that I really couldn't handle doing a green smoothie every day. So I tried Athletic Greens, which is just basically giving me many of the same nutrients that green smoothie would have. And I'm really liking it. Like, it's basically just part of my routine now. I'm not going to tell you that, like, I feel a million times better, but I just like knowing that I've started my day because it's the first thing I do before I, like, eat anything. I have it first thing in the morning. I just like starting my day knowing that I have done something good for my body, given that I'm probably going to spend the rest of the day doing something very bad for my body, just sitting around playing video games all day, right? So it's nice to do at least one good thing and tick that off at the start of a day.
And not a lot of prep either. You know, you take a scoop with some water, you shake it in a thing because they send you this cool little bottle and you're good to go.
Yeah. So if you're looking for an easier way to take supplements, Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/friends. That is athleticgreens.com/friends. Check it out. All right, welcome back. Let's have a little chat about some of the new releases from the next week or so. Ralph, I'm going to throw it to you.
Yes. Lately, last 2 weeks in terms of releases, we've had Age of Wonders 4 on PC, which I've heard very good things about. I've had lots of people actually message me and some people even email me. That's when I know a game is really good.
That's a big deal.
When I get some people specifically emailing me. Now I'm worried that actually what's going to happen now is a lot of people are going to email me about games. But no, really, people are really passionate about a game and they really wanted to get more spotlight. They emailed me and they're like, please review this game. And I'm like, I would like to, but I only have so many hours in the day. Age of Wonders 4.
4X one, right?
It is a 4X one. Age of Wonders 4 is definitely falling into that category where people really love it. The reviews are all very positive. It's selling great guns as well. So it's definitely a very triumphant return for that series. There was Redfall, which we have all spoken about a lot. Hogwarts Legacy arrived for last-gen consoles. I haven't checked the Digital Foundry thing on that yet. I'll be interested to see how it runs. Darkest Dungeon 2 hit PC on the 8th, and that is meant to be very solid. It's quite different from the last game, apparently. The dev team's been working on it for a long time now, like maybe 5 years at least. But it's all 3D visuals now, where before it was 2D. But yeah, it's definitely landed very strongly. This one's for you, Luce. Lord of the Rings, Heroes of Middle-earth. It is an EA-published mobile game that seems to be one of those gacha games, I think, maybe with Lord of the Rings characters. Can I interest you in that? Are you down, or what do you think?
You come to me in this, the month of Gollum, to talk to me about some gacha shit.
That's true, actually. Forgot about the upcoming Game of the Year contender, Gollum, of course.
Forgot about Lil Smeagol.
Did you just see like the requirements of PC specs for that? If you want to play it at 4K with ray tracing on, you need an RTX 4090 and you need to have DLSS enabled. And I'm just like, dude, I know. And I'm like, I have seen video of that game. You must be having a laugh.
I better be able to see his fucking pores.
That's right. Exactly. And the only other release this week is a little known title from a small developer by the name of Nintendo, and they're releasing this thing they're working on called Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. That is out right now, and as I said, people are probably just playing it right now while listening to us bang on. So appreciate hopefully we are enjoyable second monitor viewing for you during your adventures through Hyrule. First of all, I guess we'll say gonna play it really close to the chest with spoilers, and there's a lot of stuff that I just want to talk about now, even though I'm sure a lot of other reviewers will spoil it, right? Again, I don't want to say they're spoiling the game, by the way. I think it's perfectly fine to talk about a lot of this stuff within the context of a review, but when it comes to games that are as special as ones like these, I always am very cautious and very just err on the side of caution. So I'm going to sidestep a lot of things that I think you should discover for yourself. So,
well, I have a question. Can we kick this off?
Absolutely.
To start with,
Please
and if
do.
this is a spoiler, then please just divert me.
Sure.
Can you build a boat with the corpses of your enemies?
Sadly, you cannot build with corpses. I would
Shit.
have given the
canceling my
game a
pre-order.
solid 11 out of 10, where we're able to make some corpse raft, and using limbs as propellers to move us forward. No, that would have been sick, but unfortunately not. No, you can't do that. But you can. Oh shit, you can build pretty much anything else you want. I mean, it's. I saw this TikTok of this person who made this giant statue, and like because you hit things in the game to make them go, right? The Zonai devices, you hit them to turn them on. And it was this statue, and it was like a big mannequin going like left to right like this. And he had this massive dong. And as soon as someone turned it on, the dong went up and started spraying fire. It was incredible, right?
Nintendo has no idea what they've done.
Oh my God.
Has no idea what is in store for them when it comes to people's imagination for building lewds. So yeah, no, look, put I don't know what the exact number of my playthrough, how many hours my playthrough was, but it was at least 70 hours to get through this, right? This game is so unbelievably massive, because I think an average playthrough for Breath of the Wild was like 50 hours or so. But yeah, definitely all the reviewers that I've spoken to, no one's getting through this in less than 70 hours. I've definitely spoken to some reviewers who are about like 80 hours plus. And even then, when we finish it, everyone is like, there's still so much that we haven't touched, like so much of this world we haven't explored, so much we haven't seen, so many side quests undone, like still not finished. I spoke to one reviewer who was being pretty thorough, and he said he had like over 40 side quests just in his log unfinished. And that's after he'd done a whole boatload of them as well, right? So unbelievably massive, was not ready for it. Biggest game since Elden Ring. And just really remarkable. Like just, man, I can't wait for you guys to play it. I can't wait for everyone to play it. It's just incredible. It really is. Like I don't know, it's hard to really sort of talk about it here and just talk endlessly. Yes, questions is going to be probably a good way to drive it.
Were you compelled by the story?
I actually was quite a bit more, in fact, than I was in Breath of the Wild. Definitely, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And, but I don't want to like hype it up too much. I don't think structurally it's told in quite the same way, right? It is still about flashbacks, and it's about like, you know, you see some cutscenes and whatever. But I do think that the framing of it all is far more mythic, and some of the revelations are so much more exciting. At one point, I like literally screamed at my screen when there was like a big drop, and I was like, oh my God, are you fucking kidding me? Because it was just that level of like, I can't believe this, you know? It definitely has the power to move you both through its core storytelling, but also the way that it just tugs at those like Zelda heartstrings. Like it knows the things that you really love about this series, and it knows how to use them correctly within the context of this story that it's telling. So again, I don't want to hype it up too much. I don't think it's like vastly different than Breath of the Wild in terms of how it's told, but I do think it is a better story. Yes, for sure.
Can I use the word like ludonarrative dissonance here? Pardon me.
Yeah, go on.
Like, is Link building cars out of trees in cutscenes and shit?
Oh, no, he's not. There are no cutscenes involving well, not really. Again, it's not really a spoiler to say that like Link's not really a feature of those cutscenes, you know what I mean? Because again, it's him sort of viewing events that had happened at other places and other times, right? So whenever you see Link, you're usually just in control of him, or he's standing next to someone doing the dialogue box thing where you guys are just talking about what's up, you know? So yeah.
How about and sorry guys, stop me if I'm asking too many questions.
Go for it.
Like the loot, combat, armor, like it seems like there's a lot more, but is it meaningful? Is it satisfying? Or is it, you know?
I would say one thing that's really important to know about Tears of the Kingdom is it is absolutely Breath of the Wild 2. It's very much a sequel. And I had wondered whether or not this would be kind of like Majora's Mask, right? Which was a real remix, and it felt very different to Ocarina. This feels very similar in many core aspects. But it feels like almost all of the aspects have been enhanced, improved, made better, made bigger, with the exception of stuff like combat and quality of life. So combat is still the same. It's still the same sort of weapon styles and move sets. You can fuse items to weapons now, which definitely adds some strategic aspect to combat, where it's like, oh, this enemy is weak against fire. I'll put a flamethrower on my shield and I'll stand there and just burn him down by blocking. That's cool. But when it comes to swinging a weapon, it's the same. You know what I mean? And I never found combat in Breath of the Wild to be particularly good. I don't think it's good here. Same goes when it comes to like bosses. Some of the boss battles are really great, but only for how novel they are and how inventive they are with their mechanics, not because it's great to fight the boss. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, quality of life is another big challenge. Like, the cooking system remains the same, and that was a major pain point for me. You're just having to go into your menu every time to pull out the thing, hold the thing, put it in the pot, stand there, watch the thing. Okay, now I've got one thing. Let's do that all over again 15 times to make myself, fish pie or whatever, right? So that stays the same. I think weapon durability remains a major bugbear, and I still firmly believe that this is a worthwhile system that Nintendo have not dialed in correctly. And I think it's actually worse here because now, because I thought the fuse system would allow you to make weapons stronger, so you would churn through weapons less. But that's not true. The fuse system lets you make weapons do more attack damage, but they don't become that much more durable. And so you're still churning through weapons so often, and it's annoying. I'm sorry, but it is. Like, I'm all for this system. I'm a fan of this system, but it's just like, take the edge off it, man. Come on. And not the case, man. You are still burning through weapons so fast. Whenever you're fighting, you'll probably get 3 to 4 enemies out of your average weapon. Maybe that's an exaggeration, but you do not get many enemies out of each weapon. Let's put it that way. That has not been solved. If that was a deal breaker for you in Breath of the Wild, it is a deal breaker again for you here. So yeah,
good to know.
But in that I said, that's all the stuff that hasn't changed, and that sort of is a bit of a frustration still. But the scale of this world now is so much bigger, and the density of it is so much. Oh God, you cannot go 50 feet without finding something to do. All of the puzzles and stuff that was shoved into the shrines before, they're now out in the open world, and it's just, this entire world is this puzzle box. And I would actually liken it to Elden Ring in a way, right? I think if you took the scale and the sense of discovery in Elden Ring, this has that, but take out the good combat and the boss encounters of Elden Ring and replace it with just wall-to-wall interesting puzzles and little things that you can find along the way, right? If you just swap those things out, you have two experiences that are actually, funnily enough, very analogous to each other. If you could combine the perfection of Elden Ring's combat and boss design with the perfection of Nintendo's open world puzzle box design, you will have the perfect video game. Will that ever happen? Probably not. But it's still pretty rad. So yeah. I don't know. I feel like I just keep talking, and I know that's not very fun to listen to.
I mean, that's the thing, because you're not anyone who's played it, and so
you're the only one that has the experience.
No, yeah,
because
sure.
At the same time, I have told you guys, my fears about playing it is that I wonder if I am gonna fall off if there's not a guiding hand for me. So how did you find approaching a world as rich and as dense as this one?
I definitely had that top of mind as I went in. Because at the start, I was like, oh, this is much more Breath of the Wild than I thought it was going to be. I hope this holds my interest. Is it the same map?
Like the same part of Hyrule?
Yeah, without giving some things away, yes, it is nominally. But don't forget, there's the Sky Isles, which is this whole other landmass or archipelago above you, right? So I went in there thinking, is this going to be enough to really keep me interested? But I found myself so much more engaged with this. And I enjoyed Breath of the Wild, by the way. I liked it, finished it, of course. I found myself so much more drawn along by this world because it was so much more dense. There was so much more to discover. And the way you could interact with it at all times was so much more interesting. Like before, you kind of just had to run or get on a horse and that was it, right? But now it's like, well, I feel like flying and I'm just going to build a fucking rocket ship, and you just build it and then you go. And it's like, you can do that at any point. Anything you see, you can go there by some by this almost unlimited number of means. And that makes the world so interesting to engage with, because you're always thinking, well, not always like, where should I go? You're always thinking, where should I go? But you're also thinking, what would be a fun way to get there? And that just activates a completely different part of your brain that I found so fun and that really pulled me along. So, yeah, no, I was like the whole way through, man. I was feeding it every hour. And I'm like, I'm going to go back and play more of it. I mean, I don't think I'm going to get 100% on this, but I definitely want to tick off.
I'll do it for us, Ralph. Don't worry. I got it.
I mean, the idea of getting all the Korok seeds and all that sort of shit sounds like absolute hell.
Yep.
But no, I definitely plan to finish most of the things because of how much I really, really loved this, for sure.
Can you make a gun?
I mean, you could, in a way, make a gun if you took some logs, for example, or some beams, and then put a rocket on the top of it and then fired, then managed to somehow activate the rocket. It could be a gun. Yeah, you could definitely do that. Absolutely. You could make a gun.
Well, so I saw, so obviously
Thank you for that very American question.
I was going to say, so obviously at Gamespot, we have Max Blumenthal, who is Rin Harasaki. So if you see any video, which is things you didn't know about Breath of the Wild, it's guaranteed to come from us. Because Max is like this, a genuine Breath of the Wild, like he's a combat expert. Like he has moves named after him in the combat community because he's really good at
that guy? That's awesome.
Yeah. So stuff that he's discovered is in the game. Not in the game, but like his stuff that he discovered in the game, he's named those moves, whatever. So Max posted a gameplay video, and we were watching it to review it to go up, and he was making a kind of mounted turret thing. It was like, and then it was like firing off stuff. And for context, like I saw that first trailer, and I haven't really kept on top of anything Tears of the Kingdom because I was like, I'm gonna play it. Like, I don't know if I'll gel with it like massively, but I have not been following it as intently. And then I was watching this gameplay earlier, and I was like, oh shit, okay. So there's like a little mounted turret thing you can do. Like,
bro, you got no idea.
I just worry that if I hadn't seen that, if I wouldn't know that would be in the game.
Yeah, look, I would say this is one of the most sophisticated video games ever created. The sandbox that exists is so flexible, so breakable at all times, but Nintendo has utter confidence that anything you can do, the game will still hold. Like, there are these abilities, for example, there's an ability called Ascend, which lets you go through the roof, okay? Nintendo's level designers have had to work so hard to make sure you can't use this to like skip stuff you shouldn't be skipping and whatever else. But trust me, you can always find a way, right? You can always find a way to use that ability to like skip shit. And you can that's what you can do. And that's what I did very often because I was like, I want to see how far I can push this. How much can I break this game, right? And the fact that that the game still holds and still works at all times. At no point did I ever go up and ascend through the ceiling and I clipped into some terrain and then I had to reload my save. At no point did I ever feel like, oh, this game is too easy because I found the shortcut thing that lets me do this and it's really cheesy and it's too... It all holds together despite giving me more flexibility and freedom than any other sandbox has ever given me in any actual video game outside of like, like Gary's Mod or whatever. So it's remarkable. It is like the creativity that people will be able to bring to bear on how they solve puzzles in, the temples, dungeons, divine dragons, whatever they're called. I won't spoil it. The freedom you have to explore this world, all of it. You're just, no one is ready for just how flexible this sandbox is. It's genius. It's absolute. I have no idea how Nintendo pulled this off. Breath of the Wild had a very flexible set of tools that were interesting to use. They're nothing compared to this. They are nothing. They were like, they gave you 3 or 4 different options to approach puzzles in each way, right? But this is like giving you a near infinite number of options to approach the entire world however you please. And that is the real genius of this, that I think it'll take time for it to dawn on people, but when it does, they'll be like, wow. And I would say as well, one point that I make in my review is you can copy the vibe of Breath of the Wild, the serenity, the space, that kind of, that feel of what it's like. You can copy the scale of these worlds. Like you can make like a really big world that you get to roll around in, right? I just can't see any developer copying the sandbox that Nintendo has created here, unless they spend all the fucking money in the world. Like the amount of money to be able to recreate this in this way, I can't see anyone emulating this. Not for the next 5 to 10 years. I don't think anyone's going to be able to do this in the same way. They built the moat that they have built around this game by virtue of this sandbox is vast. So, yeah, man, you're in.
What would you say for in terms of creativity and discovery? What would you say for people who have been saying, like myself included, like, oh, I'm just not very creative or intuitive in games like these, and I'm worried about not coming up with a cool idea to do a thing?
It's a great question.
Yeah, I agree totally. And I actually put myself firmly into that category. I'm not someone who likes to fuck around with sandboxes. I'm like, no, give me the quest, give me the objective. I want the efficiency. I want to get this done, right? But I find this game just draws it out of you. It just, because it's so fun and flexible and it's easy to use to a point. I will make the point that it is finicky. Absolutely. Like there's lots of buttons to press and rotating things and clicking things, and it's finicky, but you do get to grips with it. And after a while you're like, yeah, cool. You feel comfortable enough with it. So I just found myself drawn into that creativity in a way that very few games have ever drawn that out in me. It really does speak out of a desire to want to break the game sometimes. To be like, oh, I know you want me to do it this way, but fuck you, Nintendo level designer. I'm going to do it this way, And you're sort of just
guys watching like, what the
what did I do, man? I just tried to make you a good game, I worked for 6 years on this. But yeah, it really does. It draws that out of you. And for other reasons that I won't spoil, there's, some parts of the game where your imagination is really, I find it just awakens that part of you, even if it's not something that is native, is natural to you, I would say. It did for me at least.
Okay.
So
wow.
yeah.
Exciting.
But but I think I'd be very surprised if people don't really love this. I mean, I think I don't score games, but if I did, this is a solid 10. I am very strongly recommending this on my channel. It's literally like the third game I've ever very strongly recommended, along with Elden Ring and Resident Evil 4. Wow. It's remarkable. It really is. And as I said, it's 16 gigabytes. The file size for this video game is 16 gigabytes. That is like the save file of a fucking, of a AAA game. It's 60. It's like you want to download a new skin for like Modern Warfare 2. That's like 20 gigabytes. You know what I mean? This whole game could fit into one of those USB sticks from back in the day. It's madness. You know what I mean? It's truly madness. Wild. So, actually, that's one point we should talk about: performance on Switch.
Good point.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Look, I would say on the whole,
did you play on an OLED?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Yep. I would say that on the whole, it runs really well. Okay. Definitely get some frame drops here and there, particularly when you're building, when stuff becomes translucent and you're panning the camera around, the game will slow down. Absolutely. I don't want to suggest for a moment that that's not the case, but on the whole, it's fine. However, there are some areas where it's very bad and you're like, oh shit, this is a shame. It almost is like the old, swamp in Dark Souls 1. The name escapes me now all of a sudden.
Blighttown?
Blighttown Swamp, exactly. It's that kind of, maybe not that bad necessarily, but like bad enough where you're like, yo, there's a problem here, right? Yeah. So that's a bummer. But I would also remind, because I think a lot of people are going to be like, it's disgusting that we have to put up with frame drops, or it's hypocritical that you would ping Jedi Survivor for this, but not, and then give a pass to a Zelda game. I'm like, dude, this computer here is like a $8,000 machine. It's got all the top of the line things, whatever. And if that can't play a new release game at a reliable 30 FPS, that is a different thing than if my Nintendo Switch cannot play a game at 30 FPS. Like, the Switch hardware, the chipset it's based on is 10 years old. And it's like, that's old, man. That's really old. This thing fits in our pocket. This game looks so beautiful. The draw distances are out of this world. Like when you fly up in the sky to survey areas, the horizon is there, man. You can see all the way to it. the fact that the story for this game technically is not, oh, it's such a shame. The story for this is, it is a fucking miracle that this runs on the Nintendo Switch. Like a genuine miracle that they have managed to squeeze this game into this hardware and get it running as well as it does. Because yeah, you'll see when you play it for yourself. It's crazy. It's crazy. Anyway, that's my little rant about the technical side of things. I'm sure that's going to get clipped and spread about like, but I'm like, yeah, okay. Well, it's fun to make fun of the Switch. I do it all the time, right? Yep. But you got to give credit where it's due. And here, the Switch is proving itself to be a remarkable workhorse for this game, for sure.
Amazing. Well, I'm very excited to play it. I think you've actually assuaged a lot of my fears. I'm gonna go.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will go into this being like, I don't know, I didn't really like Breath of the Wild, but I think that they will be like, I didn't like Breath of the Wild, but I really like this. I think, and I've already seen some of that as well, because I know obviously the leaks out there and people are already playing it. A lot of people are already saying that, So I suspect we'll see a lot more of it.
Well, that one is already out. I've been playing a little game that comes out on the 16th, I believe.
Yes.
I've been playing a game called Humanity. So I didn't realize who the dev was. It is That Limited, Japanese company. And it's being published by Enhance, which is Mizuguchi's kind of publishing arm. Obviously, he's behind things like Tetris Effect. But Humanity is that cool game. I can't remember which PlayStation showcase. Was it the February one?
It was the most recent one, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, I think it was.
Was this the one that was shown as like a PSVR 2 option thing where it's like a million
it does
people
have
on
PSVR
screen at
2.
once?
So it is thousands, like tons of characters on screen at once, and you play as a dog, and you basically lead all of these people into the light. But basically, it's a really, really cool puzzler where you just, you control this dog and you basically set the path for all of these thousands of characters on screen at once. And the big thing that I can compare it to is Lemmings, but it's Lemmings without the stress, because, in Lemmings you have to rescue a certain number. I have lost my voice. We've been talking so much today. But in Lemmings, you have a certain number of lemmings and you have to save a certain number to pass the level. In Humanity, they can fall off the side and I guess die, but then they come straight back again. So you get told very early on that it doesn't matter. You should experiment and you should try path setting. The only ones that you have to save are the ones called Goldies, which are kind of sort of optional big, tall gold characters in each level, and by doing that, those are kind of like the gold stars. But obviously they are kind of trickier to get. They're usually off the beaten path, and you have to kind of do some cool stuff with the puzzles. But it's just, I was playing it yesterday, and I was like, this is a really relaxing puzzler. It has like kind of a little bit of a story in there. You kind of awaken and you find yourself to be a dog, and there's this kind of voice in your head that's guiding you gently into what you have to do. But genuinely, I just think it kind of got me not in the same flow state as Tetris Effect, because I think that is such a uniquely incredible experience that is difficult to recreate. But as I was playing, and this is not a review, this is just based on the preview stuff, because in no way have I finished it or anything, but it's just really cool and really like really tight controls, I think the options that it gives you in terms of what you as a dog are able to do and how you are able to direct these people as to where they go, very simple, but builds in complexity in such a way that just a really nice balance to it. And music is really fun too. Music is really great. And so it's coming to...
ask about.
Yeah. No, the music is... I wonder if they use the same people. I should look into it, because there was one song that I was like, oh yeah, this could be straight out of Tetris Effect.
Because Tetris Effect had all that kind of like ethereal, trancey kind of stuff going on, right? Is it the same sort of vibe? That is totally my jam. That is 100% my music genre right there. So that is great.
Yes. And so it does work in PSVR 2. I believe there's also you can kind of do user created levels, but I haven't dipped into any of that stuff. I've only really tried like the single player, like the main campaign of it. But it's coming to PS Plus as a day one. And
that's right, yeah.
It's worth your time, man. It's fun. Like, I was genuinely just kind of vibing out with it, and I'm excited to play the rest of it. It's
A
great.
vibes game is what I need.
Vibes-based game.
I think, so.
Sometimes you just need a vibe. That's it.
Yeah. I'd really looked forward to this one as well. Actually, I'd like to play it straight after Zelda. I think it looks really rad, and yeah, just an interesting concept. I'd like to try it on PSVR 2 as well, because it's one of the first bigger, not big, it's not massive obviously, but like it's a title that people are interested in, and one of the first PSVR 2 releases after the launch of the hardware. So yeah, that's super cool to know that it's good. I'm pumped.
Yeah.
There's no co-op, is there? It's just single player?
I think it's just single player. I think
Okay,
only
right.
on like online stuff is the like user created level stuff. Yeah, Fable of
Right,
Humanity
okay.
is in your paws, which is very cute.
Cool.
And then bring your ideas to life using the stage creator, which I think that'll be really cool. But I have not dipped into it just yet. But you play the dog, man.
How much dog is it? Like, would you consider it like a dog game, or is it more just about the puzzler and the dog is just kind of like the vessel?
I would say more like just the vessel. At least kind of in the couple hours that I've played. Because I mean, Stray, very much the cat game. I think the only thing that being a dog kind of changes for you is you can jump and you have a lot more mobility. But there is a really cool thing that there are some places that the dog can't get to, so you can go into the people, and then there's a really, really satisfying way that you can like dash up and down like the line of people, and it's a great time. It's a vibes based game. And I love that.
Lucy, you
Solid vibes.
kind of neglected the fact a little bit that
Oh.
there's a lot of murder in this game. There's
Is
a
there?
lot. Yeah, I mean,
What
looking
do
at
you
the,
mean?
I mean, like,
Is it letting the people die, you mean?
yeah,
Oh.
there's
Yeah,
a
right.
lot
No,
of.
but
murder.
they come back. They come back. It's okay.
Oh, okay, and
They-
if that's the
there's-
case, that's fine. There's just
There's
a
a
lot
pop-up
of.
that tells you.
Was looking at a trailer of gameplay, and just all I see is gigantic marble balls rolling down a hill, mowing hundreds of people down, and I'm like, is this a vibe? I'm not sure if this is a vibe.
Well, it depends on the vibes, but no, there is a pop up to be like basically experiment, try things. If they come out, they'll come straight kind of back again. One other thing I will say is like performance wise, at least in the kind of opening hours, like phenomenally well for however many characters are on screen at one time. I was super impressed, and so it's a good time. And it's on PS Plus, so if you have PS Plus,
Yeah, it's nice.
Give it a bash.
It's a good PS Plus lineup this month. I think it's like Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart.
Yep.
Plus something else that I was like, oh, that's also good. It's a pretty strong lineup from. I can't remember what the third one is, but it's good. Yeah.
Oh, it is Dishonored 2, Tomb Raider.
Is it?
Yeah, Watch Dogs Legion.
No. I'm talking about the not that tier. I'm talking about like the free tier, like the basic tier.
Oh, it's
yeah.
a mix. So yeah. So extra and premium. So extra is Ratchet and Clank, Humanity, Watch Dogs, Legion, Dishonored 2. Oh, the PS Plus put all of this into one.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Lake
Okay.
is
Right.
coming, and so is Thymesia and Wolfenstein Youngblood. Wow, this is one hell of a month.
No.
That's how you
Okay.
say it?
I've got.
Thymesia?
Oh, that
Thymesia?
is that what it is. Okay, you're right. Actually, I misread. You're right. It is the premium tier that has those games. Okay, right. Got it.
So
Cool.
if you have premium or extra, which is like tier 2 and 3, tier
Yes.
1 is essential. Can you tell I used to
Yes,
do the
that's right.
I used to do the PS Plus monthly video. So I was like,
Yes.
I was very intimately familiar with the differences between these tiers for a while.
Sure.
But these are
Sure,
all kind of
sure,
game
sure.
catalog. So if you have the middle tier, you'll get these. But anyway.
Yeah.
Sweet. Thank you. Because now I need to play something
Hell yeah.
after Breath of the Wild. So there we go.
You'll be on Breath of the Wild for a while though.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say,
Yeah.
right until
Let's be
Diablo
honest.
and
All right,
Final
maybe I'll knock
Fantasy.
this out
Everyone
before.
will be on Breath of the Wild, and then Street Fighter will roll out. We'll kind of dip our toe in that, and then we get Diablo and Final Fantasy 16, and we'll get through those, and then we'll go back to Tears of the Kingdom and all that stuff.
Yeah.
and,
It's nice to have the gamer life planned out in front of
It
us.
is. It is.
Yeah. So those are the games coming out. But it's time to look back and go to this week in the way back. So Gerard, take us there.
Ladies and gents, let me tell you about a game that no one played, that I really wish the world played, but no one did back in the year 2010. It is a PlayStation 3 game known as 3D Game Heroes. Did anyone here play it?
I've never even heard of this.
Oh my gosh. Imagine The Legend of Zelda done in voxel. It's all voxel graphics, and there is your own mode where you can design your own voxel character, from animations to startup frames. So you could, at one point in time, and I think on GameFAQs they preserved it, you could go on to the website and download user-created voxels. And so you can play as Santa Claus, you can play as Cloud, you can play as Mega Man, you can play as all these cool fan-made things. It is one of the most underrated games on the PlayStation 3, a hidden gem, if you will, as they say. It is published by Atlas. Imagine the literally the first Legend of Zelda game, but instead of it being a top-down, it's a bit of an isometric perspective, but it's all blocks, it's all pixels. It's so quaint, it's so cool, very well written. It understands that it is a game about a game, and it's a game that I wish everyone could experience on Nintendo Switch or PlayStation or even PC. I want to say it's becoming more and more expensive in the States. So if you're in the used market trying to get one, I think right now it's going for 30 or 40 in the used marketplace, which means by the end of the year it'll probably be $100. So if you're out in the open, I'm kind of joking, but not really. If you're out in the open, you see it, grab it. I promise you will not be disappointed. And if you don't want to play it, you can watch my big ass video on it that talks all about it. I really love this game. Highly recommend if you like any kind of Zelda games, if you will. Lucy, this is a game that everyone loves, but I want to know why you picked it. Plants vs. Zombies.
May 5th, 2009. Plants vs. Zombies. So Peggle is one of my favorite games of all time. I genuinely think Peggle is a perfect video game. This is also weirdly not the first time I've spoken about Peggle this week. I did Kind of Funny Games Daily with Tim, and someone wrote in and asked, what's your go-to relaxing game? And number one for me is Peggle. However, obviously I travel a lot. Peggle is no longer available on iPhone. However, PopCap made another game, which is perfect for iPhone and still works, thank God, which is Plants vs. Zombies, which is just, I think everything about that game is just so well made, still holds up. Like, if ever I'm on a long flight, I have it downloaded and I genuinely just play through a whole run. It's got so much charm and character, and you've got even the mini games, like the bowling, like the zombie bowling, and what's the guy's name? Is Crazy Bob next door?
Dave,
Crazy Dave. And I just think it's such a fun game that you could pretty much give to anyone, and you could teach them, like different stages, randomly, whether you'd have a pool or you would have nighttime, you have to use different plants and different combinations. And it's just, I don't know, it kind of also transports me back to a time where Capcom, PopCap, Jesus Christ, were able to make those fun games like, was it Zuma and Peggle? And it was just like a very different time in gaming that I miss dearly. And
it was a different time in the mobile market.
Yes. 100%.
Because I think obviously those sorts of games, but then they got acquired by EA, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Correct.
They did.
And then it just changed everything, and it was such a bummer after that. So
yeah,
because they really tried to make a go of that Plants vs Zombies, like make it a whole franchise and
Garden Warfare,
all that stuff. And it's like
fun.
it just. I never played it. I just no part of it really appealed to me because I played the Plants vs Zombie 2 on mobile, right? Was it 2?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, whoa, this sucks. I just remember. Yeah, I remember playing another mobile game. I'm not sure if it was, but I think they started doing all this extra stuff and the microtransactions or whatever. I'm like, nah, this blows, man. I don't want to play this game. And then I just played more of the first one. So yeah, you're right. It's basically perfect, that game. That
first one was addictive as hell.
Oh,
I remember just totally falling into that, like getting sucked into it.
Yeah. So that's mine.
Yep.
Hell yes. Jake, talk to me. This is a game that I absolutely love.
So,
here we go.
People will say, Jake, why do you have such a tolerance for busted games? Is it because you're a paid shill you corrupt reviewer, and I say no, it's because I'm a normal person who would just buy weird shitty games and love them even if they're fucked up.
Yeah.
And 20 years ago, May 14th 2003, Enter the Matrix released, and I absolutely loved it, dude.
That was great, wasn't it? I loved it as well.
It was messy and janky and weird, and there were parts where like the game was like empty or unfinished, but it didn't matter because it tied in really well to the Matrix Reloaded, which like my hype at the time was at an all-time high.
Sure.
As you guys know, I am a Matrix sequels defender. Really Reloaded more than Revolution. Reloaded is tight. It's extremely awesome, and this game served as kind of a companion piece, if you will.
Yeah.
Where you play as Niobe and Ghost, Jada Pinkett Smith, and that other guy. No disrespect to him, but the game like embraced the Matrix feel, from the bullet time slow motion stuff to really cool animations. Like the characters actually ran very robotically like Matrix people do, like before they jump over rooftops and stuff. And it had guns, it had melee, it had you fighting agents, it had you diving and shooting, and it was like a hot mess, specifically the driving sections. But it just captured the Matrix feel. And as someone who was just so engrossed in that stuff at that time, it hit perfectly for me. That was Shiny Entertainment too.
Shiny, man. They were such a studio back in their day. Like Earthworm Jim. They did Sacrifice, like a truly revolutionary third-person RTS that, like, you know, no one really followed up in its wake, and they did that. And then they eventually got bought up by something, and eventually that got bought up by Amazon, I believe. I think at that point. Yeah, man. Great studio.
Yeah.
Great studio. Real shame.
So God bless Enter the Matrix. Between you and the Matrix Online, we were eating good.
Oh man, the Matrix Online. What a novel concept.
What a wild experience.
Yeah. Ralph, tell us about Wolfenstein.
Wolfenstein 3D, man. The first-person shooter that began all of the first-person shooting. That was the beginning. That was where it all started. And like, I still remember. Do you guys ever think about this? Do you guys ever think about how you got games when you were a kid?
Oh yes.
I just don't know how I got anything at all. Like, how did I play Wolfenstein that when it came out, like back then? Like, how did that occur? What was the chain of events that led to that bloody Nazi shooter being installed on my computer when I was just like, you know, I don't even know how old I was by then. But like, how does that happen? You know? But I actually
have an answer. I have a weird answer.
Go on, tell us.
Back in the day, at least for me, for a lot of the times, it was like the computer stores where they were sold were more independent. Or oftentimes, I remember my family at one point had a guy come and set up our computer, and he was just like a weird, sweaty nerd. And two instances I experienced computers like that. Like my aunt got a computer, we got a computer just set up by a person, and the computer was loaded up from the beginning with like Hexen, Wolf 3D, Doom. So it's almost like that's people who were setting up the computer, there were just great people out there just like proliferating
the games. I love that.
For free. Like, you know, it was,
and now
that's how I got it.
Now it's obviously like they're on, like kids are on TikTok and, you know, they just download free to play games and whatever. And game discovery is so easy. But back then, man, I don't know how I got Wolfenstein, but I played it very early and I just played the shit out of it. And I just was a shooter fan ever since after that. Like every shooter really, just played them all as a result of that, my time with that. So yeah, man, it's crazy. 31 years ago.
31 years ago?
31 years ago this week.
1992?
1992, man.
Ooh.
Unbelievable.
Gross.
That's it for us in this day in the way back. Back to you, Lucy.
Thank you. Oh, I love that. Back to you in the studio. Well, we have a couple of exciting ones on the games front. Obviously, we got Tears of the Kingdom, but we also have Street Fighter 6. They announced, was it the open beta? You guys jumping in?
Yeah, I saw that. I don't think I will, because I think I'll just play it as like a single player game to fuck around with and experiment with and be like, here's how Street Fighter exists now, so I understand what it is, but I am way too scared to go online and just get trucked over and over again by people. So I'm just no, the beta's not for me.
No, I mean, I'm not a fighting game person. I'll give it a go because everyone says this is meant to be way more approachable. So I'll give it a go. I'll give it my best shot. But really, my June is going to be Summer Game Fest with you boys and GameSpot and Giant Bomb.
Yeah.
And then Diablo 4 and Final Fantasy 16. You're not going to see me. I'll be like...
It's so like that, isn't it? Yeah.
Dude, I'm so
June
excited
is
for
so
Final
wild.
Fantasy.
Yeah, me too, man. It's going to be so... I'm very, very pumped for it. Very pumped. So
It's going to be my personality.
I'm looking forward to the Summer Games Fest as well. It's going to be great to see you guys. Spoiler alert, we are going to do a show there. We're going to be recording in person. We're not... The location is still to be confirmed, but we are going to do a show together. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, like, we might, but, like, we might also do it somewhere else if we can land certain guests or something and, you know, whatever. So we're working right now. We definitely don't have a guest locked in, but we are in discussions. We're trying to get someone special for that.
Mr. Beast.
That's right.
We'll go to the Mr. Beast compound that he bought this week.
Anyway, point is, we're going to Summer Games Fest and we're going to be recording a show there. And yeah, I'm just very excited about that. I think it's going to be super rad. Keen to see what kind of show Jeff has put on. I mean, last year was quite small. Hopefully this year's a little bit bigger. But I'm glad he's putting something on. Like it's nice that he's you know, there's going to be something there. The idea that we wouldn't go to make the annual pilgrimage to LA in June, that's a sad idea. So I'm glad that he has stepped up. So yeah,
out of the goodness of his heart.
Yeah, that's right. Of course,
the charity in his heart. Thank you, Jeff.
We gotta go take a picture outside the LACC. Just like everyone, like just doing a little, like pay our respects
having
to
a
the
little
LACC.
sigil, a candlelight sigil.
Oh, feels. I mean, yeah, it feels weird not going back to the LACC, but yeah, I'm excited for Summer Game Fest.
It will be quite fun, I think. So yeah.
So please be excited. What do you got, your boys?
Yes.
Ugh, I can't even speak today. That's where I'm at. What have you boys got going on until we meet again, Gerard?
Tears of the Kingdom until the day I'm done. That's just gonna be
thumbs drop off.
My life. Honestly, it's gonna sound really weird. I've been panicking to come up with what I'm calling junk content, and it's not that I don't care about the content. It's that I know no one's gonna watch because they're gonna want to watch Tears of the Kingdom content. So I'm trying to kick that can until I'm done, and it sucks because I just finished Resident Evil 4 remake 100% all the way through, and now I'm like, well, that video can't come out until June, until everyone is starting to come down from the hype. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm up to. You know, just streaming when I can and completing all the time. Back to you, Lucy.
Jake, what about you?
If he's completing all the time, I'm before you buying all the time. But yeah, I'm gonna be hitting all the main games. I'm got some things going on in my personal life, good things that are keeping me really, really busy. So I'm going to be hitting the main stuff. I also haven't seen Guardians of the Galaxy 3 yet, but I'm going to see that, and probably I feel like I'm going to have enough to say to make a video. So keep your eyes peeled for that.
I think knowing you as I do, I think you'll like it. It's good.
I'm a easy little piggy. I lop that shit up. So
yeah. I still don't. I saw it. It doesn't. I think that stuff isn't hitting me as hard now as old school. But like, you can look at it and be like, yeah, this was well put together. This is a good time. But definitely, it's hard because, like, you know, that old story arc, the old Infinity Saga, is still, you know, that was the thing, and the other side of it is not that thing anymore. You know, so yeah.
No. Ralph, what about you?
Yeah.
Your Tears of the Kingdom stuff is up and done.
Yep.
You're free.
It's done. Well, yeah, I'm free. I'm still going to mess around with it just for fun, and I'm going to play Diablo Service Slam. I'm going to mess around with Humanity and maybe review it. We'll see how I go. I'll see. And then there's also some other stuff coming out this month as well, which I just want to shout out briefly, because I know
Gollum.
Planet of Lana is dropping this month, which is a little indie, looks really nice. Gollum is looking very interesting.
Shout out to Gollum.
Yeah, that's a Golem. And System Shock went gold, and that's out at the end of the month as well.
Wow,
Yep.
finally.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's it. And Lego 2K Drive actually is another one which I am quite interested in. Does that not look very fun? I reckon that looks very fun.
But I
I'm down
worry
for
about the
that.
time that they've set it to launch, man. I really hope it just doesn't die on its ass because everyone's too
Very brave of them to launch it so close to thing. But whatever, it's a different category, I guess. I don't know. But
This is
yeah, so
only
that
going to
looks
make
really
sense to people who really like pay attention to your content, but like that to me is very much a Ralph ass game.
Yeah.
Which one? Lego?
Lego, yeah.
Really? You say that? Why do you say that?
I think just after it was like after you really like hyped me to hell with the
Hot Wheels one?
the Hot Wheels DLC stuff.
That
and
was
everything.
great.
Yeah.
Did you play the Hot Wheels? Did you play Hot Wheels Unleashed, by the way?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was a great game, wasn't it?
it was cool.
It was
Yeah.
really good. I really love that. So no, I'm actually excited for Lego 2K Drive. And also new season of Destiny, baby.
Oh, here we go.
I'm excited. 22nd, I think it is, the 23rd maybe. And I'm actually doing a charity stream for that as well. By the way, doing a charity stream, partner with Game on Cancer in Australia to do. They do fundraising for cancer research, and yeah, the kickoff event that we're doing for that is a Destiny stream, and we're going to be giving away this bad boy. Where is he? This guy, this Gajalahorn right here. Not actually him because I have another one that's boxed, but it'll be So you could look.
I'm so happy for him.
There we go. So if anyone wants to win this thing,
If you're
come along.
listening, it's a giant.
It's
It's
huge.
That's right.
It's a giant weapon from Destiny that's also a Nerf gun.
And if you come along and give lots of money, you could have this maybe. Okay, that's the deal. It all goes to a worthy cause, so I hope everyone gives generously. So that's it. That's what I'm doing.
Damn. Well,
What about you, Lucy? What are you doing?
I'm not giving away a Gajalahorn. But no, so on the last episode, I teased that like there was stuff that I couldn't talk about, and now I can because it's out there. The team at Gamespot, we've been working on a lot of new shows and new programming, and we launched that last week. So we are still working on all that. So we have like new shows.
Congratulations.
Thank
Congrats.
you. So much hard work from everyone, but the reception has been really nice, and it's like a lot of it is passion projects that people have been pitching for a long time, but we never really found the way to make sure that when we get it out, like we give it the pomp and circumstance that it all deserves. And so, Tam and I have a new show called Spot On, where we discuss like big themes in the industry. And so last week we discussed with Redfall, why every game needs to sort of stop trying to be Destiny. And then we have other games like No HUD and How It's Saved and The Kurt Locker, which is where Kurt Ken does like a little video essay every week, and they're really great. And so we're thrilled, and it's gone down really well. So if you're interested in any of those, if they sound fun, head over to GameSpot's YouTube and check it out. But that's what I've been doing. We'll be back again in a couple weeks with an episode of the Friends Per Second podcast. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching, listening, rating, reviewing on places like iTunes. It means a lot. If you have any questions, contact friendspersecond.com. We'll see you in a couple weeks. But Jake, take us away.
Tie your shoes and go to bed. We'll see you. Good night. Sleep well. Don't trip because your shoes are tied. So ideally you wouldn't. But okay, see ya.